How's it going, guys? I'm Matt Torx, and last night at the 2024 Game Awards, we got to look at a brand new trailer for the upcoming Borderlands 4, as well as some gameplay for the very first time. So after going back through and watching the trailer on a couple different speeds and some different aspects, I want to break down everything that happens in this trailer, as well as share any predictions that I might have about what the details in this trailer mean. This is everything you missed in the Borderlands 4 gameplay trailer. Now, this trailer starts pretty much right where the last one ends off. We see the mask that was picked up in that teaser kind of being reflected a bit more, and we get to see more of the person who's actually holding this mask. We then cut to some sort of different time frame, and we see this same woman using could be the same mask, could be a different one, but she's placing it onto a psycho's head. And when she does that, the psycho's eyes glow red, like they're being brainwashed or manipulated or some way. We then get a look at a lot more of the bandits and psycho enemies for this game, and they look quite different. All of them have this sort of cybernetic look to them, like metallic gray colors, a lot of little implant looking things, this glowing red technology through the form of their guns and their swords. And it seems like that woman before, who has the kind of giant cybernetic legs, is the leader of this group. Now, I say this because when you get to see a full body look of her in this crowd, every other bandit and psycho is kind of rallying around her. But regardless, after this sort of series of events, you get to see this army of cybernetic psychos. Another sort of army shows up in the form of these alien-looking creatures that have these gold and gray colors all over their body. And this alien army, it looks like, is going to be led by this guy at the top of the hill right here, sort of shrouded in darkness. Now, based off the official description of this trailer, we know that this guy is the Timekeeper, and he seems to be the main villain of this game. As the description officially reads, break free from the oppressive Timekeeper, a ruthless dictator who dominates the masses from on high. Now, a world-altering catastrophe threatens his perfect order, unleashing mayhem across the planet. So it seems like whatever happened to the moon in the last trailer sort of collided with this Timekeeper's world, and possibly could be the explanation for why we as Vault Hunters are there in the first place. But anyway, after all this sort of story-looking design and things that are just kind of setting up the trailer, we then get a look at some actual in-game footage. We get to see a bunch of shots that go by quickly across the screen, but we sort of see a couple set pieces and possible maps that are going to be in the game. But in the middle of these quick shots, we get to see this little guy right here, and I think he might be one of the pets for the pet type character. Now, the guy does look more mechanic in figure than an actual pet, but based on previous games where we had characters like Mordecai and Flack, I think this might be a companion that helps out one of the 4 Vault Hunters. And speaking of Vault Hunters, we get to see all 4 of the playable characters right here. And this is probably where my number one concern from this trailer comes in, and it's the fact that they don't look very unique. I think in all of the previous Borderlands titles, they did a really good job of making characters who stood out and felt different from one another. Not just in gameplay, but in design, and it made you be able to resonate with characters better because of how stylized they looked. But I feel like when I look at these characters from a design perspective, there's nothing that really jumps out. They all look like they could just be NPCs within the Borderlands world. But now that I've kind of got my gripes out about the design choices with these characters, I want to talk about which role I think each of them fits. Starting from the right, we have this girl right here, and based on the big gloves and sort of tool belt at her waist, I think she is an engineer mechanic type character. Which, if we assign her the role of somebody who gets a pet this game, makes sense with that robot looking guy that we were seeing at the beginning of the trailer. But next to her, we have this sort of big-looking, cybernetically enhanced character, and I think he's going to be sort of a Viking-type character. He's got the big stature, he has the facial hair, and later in this trailer, we see him throwing these glowing hatchets or tomahawks of sort. So I think his gameplay could revolve around being a sort of futuristic Viking-type character. Moving on to the left of him, we have our siren of the game. Now, not much is known about her because she doesn't do any actual moves within the trailer, but if Borderlands 3 was anything to go off of, she's probably going to have moves from previous sirens and using them in new and differing ways, possibly getting Tyrene's leech effect or something of that nature. And then we get to see the soldier of this game. The only thing we get to see from him is this attack that he does by popping cybernetic swords out of the top of his arms. Now, I don't know if any of these predictions for the character types are actually right, but that's just about all that I can gather from this short trailer. We then see a character briefly wielding some sort of Torg-based weapon, right before we see the engineer spawn up this brand new vehicle type, which is this pod racer type vehicle that, if I'm being honest, looks heavily inspired from Star Wars. After that, we get to see the Viking riding another type of vehicle that looks to be a floating motorcycle-based hovercraft of sorts. But after that, probably my favorite reveal of this trailer, we get to see that Zane is back in Borderlands 4. Both gameplay and personality-wise, Zane was my favorite Vault Hunter in Borderlands 3. And if I'm being honest, I like his new design in this game. And whatever role he has in this game, I'm hoping that they don't just waste his potential. After Zane, we see two more important looking NPC characters that are probably going to play a big role in this game's story. And of course, Claptrap is back once again. But after that, we get to see our very first loot explosion. And one thing that really caught my attention when watching this part is that all of the golden weapons have these multicolored bases at the bottom of them. Now, I don't know if this is just to indicate mayhem or OP10 or whatever they're calling it now, or if this is just the default way that legendaries look in this game. We then get shown a couple more establishing shots of some characters in these wider open map designs, kind of showing off the art and direction that this game is going in. We also see some new enemy design types, like this four-legged creature, these two big cyborg characters, and this big flower creature that spits acid. And the final thing that I want to talk about for this trailer is this moment that happens right before it cuts to more cinematic footage. We see the Viking type character attaching a grapple to this little spot at the top of a ledge and zipping himself up towards it. Now, at first I thought maybe this was an ability specifically to the Viking character, but after seeing that the point that he zipped to was a designated point on the side of the wall, I think that in order to further the movement for this game, every character is going to have access to this grappling ability. Similar to how they added mantling and sliding to Borderlands 3. But after grappling up, he throws this axe on the ground that detonates into this purple explosion, right before spawning two elemental axes and choosing to throw the red one, which to me makes it seem like this character might be able to do what Zane could do in the previous game and use multiple action skills at the same time. Either that, or possibly they're giving every character the option to use multiple specials at once. Now, obviously, all I can do is speculate on which one of these might be right, but for all I know, none of them could be right, and this could be a sort of augment that happens in this character's skill tree. But that is going to wrap it up for everything unique and interesting that I found in the Borderlands 4 trailer. Now, if you feel that there's anything important that I missed, make sure to let me know in the comments down below, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Borderlands 4 related content in the future. Now, before I end this video, I just want to know, how are you guys feeling about Borderlands 4? I myself am worried about this game and really hope that it does well, because all of the past couple Borderlands projects, like the movie or New Tales from the Borderlands, were really bad. So I think that the pressure is kind of on Borderlands 4 to perform, because it's either going to be great and give this series a revitalization that it needs, or it's going to end up bad or mediocre and possibly put that nail in the coffin. But anyway, guys, if you got this far into the video, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace!